So there I was, going about my day when a new box appeared on my desk with a message saying a new mission awaited me. So I opened it up to find a card that read, "The Mi 10T Pro, the phone that can power your creativity. Let's see how it can power yours." And there it was, a crazy 108 megapixel triple camera housing and with a 6.67 inch 144 Hz display and powered by a 5000 milliamp hour battery. So I packed up a bag and embarked on a journey to push the Mi 10T Pro to the limits. The first thing I'm looking for is a phone that looks the part, that has character, high quality materials, and a design that showcases its features in an impressive way. The Mi 10T Pro was absolutely stunning, and with a 6.67 inch display and a 144 Hz refresh rate, it will grab your attention no matter which way you look at it. The second thing I need is a camera, one that delivers extreme quality in an instant, but that also gives me the power to take control when I want to. My favorite aspect of the Mi 10T Pro was that it gave me automatic HDR, AI, and even macro shooting, but with a single tap I could switch into full pro mode with the power to change everything, including raw capture, ISO, shutter, manual focus, and even full metering control. The standard 27 megapixel images looked absolutely amazing, but that was nothing compared to the 108 megapixel mode that had endless amounts of detail. But where most phones leave me wanting is with video. Video demands not just the ultimate in quality, but also the ultimate in control. Control of frame rates, resolution, settings, and so much more. I was absolutely blown away to discover the Mi 10T Pro offered 8K video recording, 4K at 60 frames per second, and 1080p at 120 frames per second, all while offering complete manual control over every setting I need, and even throwing in log video, histograms, focus peaking, and even zebras, which many of my pro cameras lack. Simply put, this is the most powerful camera in any phone I have ever seen. Darkness is the most difficult time for any camera, but a large 1/1.33 inch sensor meant more light being captured in every shot. But the built-in night modes meant even in complete darkness, this phone was producing absolutely incredible images. But even as night hit, the 5000 milliamp hour battery meant instead of looking for a charge port, I was back out creating and using the AI skyscaping feature to completely transform my images. Alright guys, so you know I don't talk about phones too much in the channel, but when one comes along that's offering a 108 megapixel camera, a dedicated macro camera, full manual control of everything, and I mean not just ISO and shutter speed, and that's without talking about 8K video, 4K 60, log recording, histogram, zebras, this thing will blow your mind. So this is it, this is the Mi 10T Pro. And you probably haven't heard too much about this phone right here, which is why I wanted to do something pretty cool for the intro. So I appreciate you guys hitting like on there. But let's check this out, because if you guys are doing photos, videos, or even gaming, I think this phone is gonna blow your mind. So obviously this is a super premium device right here. It's all metal, glass, looks absolutely stunning. People all over the place are asking me what this thing is. On the front, you have a 6.67 inch display. This thing is rocking a 5000 milliamp hour battery, which is absolutely crazy and really cool because that display is actually 144 Hertz HDR 10 plus, which is absolutely amazing. That's like twice the refresh rate of most phones out there. And then if you're a fellow spec nerd like me, you're rocking rocking a Snapdragon 865 processor on this thing. Mine is loaded up with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of internal hard drive on here. So absolutely super high-end specs. So obviously, if you're like me and you're here for the camera, this thing is not going to disappoint at all. The sensor size on this, 1/1.33 inches, absolutely huge. One of the biggest sensors on the market. F1.7 on the aperture, optical image stabilization on this thing. The standard camera is about 25 megapixels, and then you can bump up to 108 megapixels if you want. First question I had is if you could even notice the difference of detail in that 108 megapixels. And absolutely, if you zoom on this thing, you can absolutely see that difference. The detail is absolutely incredible. And the only difference is that you're going to bump up your file size from about 8 megabytes to about 13 megs per file. And keep in mind, you can shoot RAW and everything like that on this camera. So the second camera here, probably the most unique on here, it is a dedicated macro camera, something that you really don't see on most other phones out there. And the big advantage here is that if you want to shoot macro, you can. Now for me, I don't shoot macro images that much, but what it meant for me is that I could basically take images of documents, warranties, cards, anything like that. I could hold any object within an inch of this camera and it was still able to take images. This is something you just don't get on other phones. And if you don't have a dedicated macro camera, there's just no way you can pull off these kind of images. So that third camera is actually a wide angle camera. I use that all the time. So I'm really glad it's here. And again, this has very little distortion on it. Quality is amazing. And all three of these cameras have full manual ISO, white balance on here. You have shutter speed control and some things that you don't see on other phones like RAW recording and also being able to control even your metering functions on this, which is really, really cool. So obviously all your auto modes are going to be in here as well, including AI built into this and auto HDR, which is really cool. Actually, the shooting modes in general, probably the most exhaustive list I have ever seen packed into a phone. So you have your portrait modes, studio lighting on everything. You have your night modes, and then some really cool ones like tilt shift. You have long exposures, time lapses, all that kind of stuff on here. Definitely the wow factor though is going to be the built-in gallery app of this phone where you can do the most insane sky replacements I have ever seen. And that includes every software from phones to computers. I've never seen anything like this. Yes, it replaces your sky. It has so many built-in options for you, but look how it relights your scene. This is precision that even after hours of Photoshop, I couldn't even get relighting your images like this. And there's even some dynamic options with moving skies and fireworks and all kinds of different scenes in here, all built into the phone. So it is absolutely crazy. The only thing I wish we had maybe a little bit more control of was some of your advanced editing features like shadows, highlights, curves. You don't really have a lot of that into the app, so you might have to pull your images in a Lightroom if you want kind of that advanced editing control. But definitely with the basic editing options and sky replacement, this editing app is absolutely crazy. So as far as actual image quality here, some of the most detailed images, the only thing I will say is that the colors are a little bit more muted and flat. So if you want super dynamic, rich colors, you'll probably want to pull these into that gallery and boost the images just a little bit in post. Now for me, video is where it's at. You're talking 8K video, 4K 60, 1080p up to 120 frames per second, but really, you're talking log recording on this thing, histograms, zebras, focus peaking, stuff that pro cameras don't even have or tend to be missing all the time. So this is just unprecedented, the level of not only just quality you're gonna get, but features you're gonna get from the video side of this. So honestly, I don't think a day has gone by where I haven't discovered some cool new feature on this phone and run into my wife to show her what it was. Actually yesterday I found out this is an IR blaster in it. So by the end of the day, I was controlling my fans, my TVs, lights, everything like that around my house straight from the phone. Really awesome. But basically, I would say there are two really cool reasons to take a look at this phone. If you are into photo and video at all, this offers some of the best photo quality and video quality you can possibly get, especially when you take a look at the price of this device right here. But also, if you are either learning photography or videography and want to be able to learn how to use those manual settings, or maybe you're more of a pro photographer like me and want to be able to control your files and shoot with manual shutter and ISO and that kind kind of control, this is going to give you just unprecedented options on here that no other camera is giving you built into the camera. So hit me up, guys, if you have any questions on this. Happy to respond to them. Hope you guys are doing amazing. Stay tuned, like and subscribe, and we get a whole bunch of new videos coming up soon.